You are listening to the Embrace the Mud podcast, where we discuss all things related to healthy, joyful, and life-giving relationships. Why focus on relationships? Because the quality of our intimate partnerships and close connections influences our health, happiness, and longevity more than anything else in our lives. Relationships matter a lot, so together, let's jump into the mud, aka our messy relationships, pull some weeds, plant some seeds, and create an enriching environment where strong relationships can take root. I am your grateful host, Dara Posner. I am a relational disaster working toward relational mastery. I am also a positive psychology coach, a relational mindset coach, a blogger, and now a podcaster. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Embrace the Mud podcast, where we discuss all things related to healthy, joyful, life-giving relationships. If you are a fan of this podcast, please subscribe, follow, like, review, and share. Your engagement in this way is crucial to the success of the podcast, and I appreciate you taking just a few seconds to support my mission, which is to help people like you flourish in life and love. We all know that conflict is a normal and healthy part of every relationship. But did you know that there are two different types of conflict? There are conflicts known as solvable conflicts, and every relationship also has conflicts that are considered unsolvable conflicts. And these are also sometimes referred to as irreconcilable differences. Yes, having irreconcilable differences in your relationship is normal. And here is the really interesting factoid. Most relationship conflict is unsolvable. That's right. According to renowned relationship expert John Gottman, about 69% of the conflicts that couples will face are considered unsolvable, and 31% are considered solvable. So what is the difference, first of all? How do you know if a conflict is solvable or unsolvable? Well, basically, the unsolvable conflicts are the ones that never go away. And the reason why they never go away is because these conflicts are the result of the differences between you that come from your personalities or, things that have to do with like the core of who you are as an individual and as a unique person. These things are not changeable things. And therefore, you have your, let's say, belief that is a religious belief that you bring to the relationship, and your partner has theirs. And this would be considered an unsolvable difference because it's not about solving the issue by getting you on the same page with the same belief, but rather you want to learn to manage this unsolvable difference. And that management is something that's going to have to happen continuously over time, over the course of the entire length of your relationship. So let me give you some more examples of unsolvable conflicts. So differences in neatness, you have one person who's really tidy, one person who's really messy. Spending habits, you have one person who is like an avid saver, and then you have one who really loves the spending. Things like parenting styles, right? People come with their own ideas about what it looks like to parent a child, and there is conflict around this because you simply don't agree. You have different approaches. I grew up this way. This is how we raise children. Well, I grew up this way. This is how we raise children. And so you have to work together to manage your differences around how you're going to parent your kids. You have, a classic example of the partner who's habitually running late and the other one always wants to be early or at least on time. You have the extroverted partner and the introverted partner. And then, other issues that are sometimes just perpetual, unsolvable are around, we mentioned religion, sex. One partner wants sex more frequently than the other person does. ideas about how many children to have. One person wants to have just one child and the other person wants to have a much bigger family. So these are things that would be considered unsolvable, conflicts that are considered unsolvable in your relationship. And again, the takeaway here that I really, am hoping to impart to you is that this is normal. That you have unsolvable issues that never go away in your relationship is not a problem. The problem exists when we can't accept the differences and that they're here to stay and that they are going to be a part of our relationship moving forward, and we have to learn how to manage these. So the first step in really, being excellent managers of unsolvable issues is to acknowledge what are the unsolvable problems in our relationship and be really, really clear that this is the category that these issues that we perpetually have fall into. And by doing that, you are sort of surrendering, to the reality that these things are not going to change. And so our work around these issues is simply to find the best way to manage them. Make sure they don't come in between us. Make sure that we are handling these things so that we both feel really accepted and respected around each of our positions when it comes to whatever the issue is. The second thing we want to do is actively manage these problems. We don't want to sort of hope they're going to, work themselves out or figure themselves out, but we want to have strategies in place for how we're going to manage these unsolvable conflicts in the relationship. And then we both have to be sure and explicitly state to each other that we can live with these unsolvable issues. We're not harboring maybe like a secret hope that the other person is actually going to change or come on to our side of things, and that actually, I will get them like on board with me eventually. But no, I truly accept that this is a difference. It's not going to change. And, I'm going to just work with you to manage this ongoingly. So how can you successfully manage unsolvable conflicts in your relationship so that you can have maximum peace? Even though there might be a number of these types of conflicts in your relationship that are, just perpetually there, they're not anything you can really reconcile, and you want to have a great relationship with them present and be able to manage them really, really well. Well, the first thing that you want to do is you want to practice that acceptance that we already referred to. You have to embrace the differences that exist between you rather than trying to overtly or covertly change the other person. The next thing you want to do is really be mindful of your own emotionality around the conflict. So you might have some really strong feelings, and that's okay. You can feel strongly, you can have, just your own perspective and, even wish, of how things could be, but that's not what you want to focus on, right? You want to focus on the things that are going well, the things that, are manageable and solvable in your relationship, the conflicts that come up that are solvable conflicts. You want to focus on solving those so you feel like you're having a lot of success in working through things and resolving things and solving things that come up in your relationship. And then really manage the strong emotions that you might feel around these differences. When you're communicating about these differences, one thing you really want to do is allow your partner to express their feelings and their perspectives without interrupting them, judging them, or critiquing them. So you really just want to create a space for the differences and the expression of, their feelings and their perspectives around those differences to exist, even if they're expressing, something that you don't agree with or particularly like to hear. There's going to have to be bargaining and possibly even compromise because, these unsolvable differences require you to work together. And, to be successful at that, you have to accept that you're not both always going to get everything that you want. And so just really surrendering to that and allowing that to be the case is a really important aspect of managing unsolvable conflicts in your relationship or marriage. Again, focus your attention to what can be solved. Think about the things that are coming up in your relationship that are solvable, resolvable, where solutions can be found, and practice working together to find those solutions. And, don't have a hyper focus on the things that can't be solved and stew in those emotions and things like that. Continually shift your focus back to the things that you can resolve together. And if you're really struggling in this area, seek professional guidance. Sometimes we can get really, really trapped in these differences. And from time to time, we can all use some professional support to help us navigate the often very murky and choppy waters of differences, especially extreme differences that might arise in your relationship. And finally, really just emphasizing love and respect. When you are being loving and respectful and appreciative in your relationship, that just makes managing all kinds of conflicts much, much easier. And so really just make sure that as much as you recognize that conflict is a natural part of any partnership, make love and respect, something that you just infuse your relationship with, and let that be the most natural thing that is occurring between the two of you. And finally, one other tip that I can share is just to remember the big picture. You have a shared vision together for the life that you're creating and the family that you're building. And so keeping the bigger picture in mind can help you focus on the positives and focus on the reasons why your partnership is meaningful and, just so important to you, even though these differences are a part of it and exist. So I hope you found that helpful. I will be back very, very soon with another episode here on the Embrace the Mud podcast. But until then, please remember, you are wired for love and connection. You are capable of love and connection. You are worthy of love and connection. See you soon.